Namaskar, this is Neela Kalyan Jagdale, and today we'll be discussing the various types of folds. In my previous lecture, we have discussed what are incompetent rocks, what are competent rocks, and how rocks behave, differently, or they vary in their behavior with respect to what kind of lithology. Lithology meaning what kind of rock type. Yes, the rock is. Yes, so accordingly, as the lithology varies, the stresses acting on the rocks will also act differently, therefore showing different deformation in the rock. Alright, and we discussed what are competent rocks, what are incompetent rocks. Yes, so today we'll be discussing what are drag folds mainly, and other folds also, that is box fold and fan fold. Yeah, so if you're talking about drag folds, okay, now that we've understood the concept of what is incompetent and competent rocks, yes, we will know, we'll understand what are drag folds. See, in nature it is not that once in a sedimentary basin, that is a depression, any depression, yes, like this is a basin in which rivers flow or streams flow, they carry sediments and they dump the sediments in the basin, right? And this leads to formation of sedimentary rocks. Now, is it necessary that only and only one type of rock will get deposited in one type of basin? Not necessary, right? It will depend upon the season, yes. It will depend upon the source area from where the sediments are coming, yes. It will depend upon how far is the source area from where the sediments are coming. Why? Because if the source area from where the sediments are coming and getting deposited is closer, then the grain size will be coarser, it will be larger, and the fragments will be angular, correct? Why? Because it has undergone less of friction and erosion and weathering while it is being carried on the way to get dumped into the basin, right? Therefore, the sediments will be more coarse, big, and they'll be angular, right? If the provenance area is close. On the other hand, if the provenance area, what is provenance area? Provenance area is the area from where the sediments are being carried, yes, and they are dumped. That is the source area of the sediments is known as provenance area. Okay. So now, if you are talking about the provenance area being very far away, what will happen? Because it is very far away, the sediments that are carried are subjected to more weathering and erosion. Therefore, they break down and the rounding of the grains take place. Okay. So what will happen? You will get smaller grains and they will be rounded. Yes. See, it is like if it is the source area is close by, then you will have angular grains, and if these are angular grains, and if the source area is far away, you'll have rounded grains. Why? Because the distance is long, therefore the weathering and erosion is taking place for a longer period of time and the angular part is chipped off. Okay, yeah. So then what is happening? So what are we basically talking about is we are talking about the type of sediments in the basin will depend or it will vary with respect to the type of sediments, and with respect to the provenance area and the climate, and if it is oceanic, then sea level changes, transgression, regression. Okay, now that I mentioned these words, I will tell you, transgression is when the sea encroaches or comes on land, okay, and regression is when the water goes back. Okay, now this happens over a period of time. It does happen. Best example is Dwarka, if we say at the given moment is underwater, right? So once upon a time it was on land, but now it is underwater. That is due to what? Earlier there was, now I don't know actually, this is just coming up like that only because the main topic of folds is side, but however, as I always say, it is all interdisciplinary. So in order for you to understand why things happen and how things happen, let's just listen to this also. Yeah. So what has happened there is Dwarka once upon a time was on land, right? But now it is underwater, and it does exist underwater, right? Why is this happening? Because the water has encroached on land, this transgression that has happened. Yes. So what I'm trying to tell you is, so depending upon these factors, the sediments also vary in a sedimentary basin. Now why are we trying to understand this? We are trying to understand that the sediments vary in a sedimentary basin so that we know that In a single basin, it is not necessary or it is not possible that only one type of rock is formed. Okay, right? So we have various types of rocks. We may have, limestone, we may have siltstone, we may have sandstone, we may have shale, whatnot. Alright, now accordingly, depending upon the type of rocks that are present, the stresses will act differently on that type of rock. Correct? Now, if we have, sandwich. What do I say? What is sandwich? Incompetent rock. Okay, if you want to know again, just go back again. That those rocks which cannot take stresses for a farther distance are incompetent, and those which take stresses for a farther distance are competent. Alright. So when you have smaller or when you have incompetent rocks, I'm sorry, not the word smaller, yeah. When you have incompetent rocks sandwiched in between competent rocks. Okay, incompetent and competent, and then again competent. Alright, you see this? You have competent rock, and incompetent rock in between. So you have incompetent rock that is sandwiched in between the competent rocks. That is when these rocks are subjected to compressional forces, and these rocks are subjected to compressional forces. You see these arrows? Yes. Yeah, and these rocks are subjected to compressional forces. That is when you get to see drag folds in incompetent rocks. Example of drag incompetent is what? Basically, most importantly, shale mostly. Even just gypsum, anhydrite, these are also incompetent. Quartzite is competent. Sandstone is competent. Fine. Alright. So coming back again, is you get to see drag folds in incompetent rocks. Alright, now how does this happen? Because there are compressional forces. Yesterday we discussed, or the previous lecture we discussed that in the competent rocks the stresses will, in case of competent rocks, the compressional forces, they will be carried to a further distance. Therefore they will not show a lot of deformation. But in case of incompetent rock, the same amount of pressure is being subjected. Therefore, this will show variation. The incompetent rock. I will show you how. What will happen is the entire thing will not just get folded. Not just that will happen. It's just not that. What will happen is the incompetent rocks will show smaller folds in it. Yeah. Like for example, I'll just show you. In between, what is it that we have? Incompetent rock. And above and below, competent rock. Okay. See, we have competent and incompetent rock. Now what has happened? The same thing. See, compressional forces they have not just given rise to folding here. They have also given rise to minor folds in case of incompetent rock. Within incompetent rock, they show minor folds. Okay. Now why has this happened? This has basically happened due to slipping, due to dragging. Dragging of what? Dragging of this layer, this competent rock layer. Yes. And the competent rock below. Okay. The two have been dragged. Okay. With respect to the incompetent rock. Therefore giving rise to small folds in what? In incompetent rock. Yes, these folds, because they are caused due to dragging effect, they are known as drag folds. Alright, now fold. Yes, so if we are talking about fold, we know that folds have axial plane. Yes, so overall the entire axial plane of this fold is like this. Yes, the axial plane of the entire fold is like this. Yeah, but on the other hand, if we are talking about the axial plane of the drag folds, yes, if we are talking about the axial plane of the drag folds, they are like these. You see in green here, these are the axial planes of these small drag folds. Yes. Now, before we proceed, understand one thing. The layer in between the two different types of rocks is known as bedding plane. Yes, why? Because it is a planar surface which exists in between the two beds, right? So the layer, or the space in between the two types of lithology, two different types of lithology, is the bedding plane, right? So here what is happening is, along the bedding plane of these competent, and in between incompetent, that is along here, along this plane and along this plane, or rather in case if you're seeing here, along this plane and along this plane, there is dragging effect, yeah, and this dragging effect gives rise to formation of these drag folds. All right, then what are we seeing? One more thing, what is it that should be understood here is the axial plane. The reason why I mentioned the word bedding plane, or why I explain the term bedding plane, is because you should understand one thing, that is the axial plane here. See this, the axial plane, yes, of the drag folds is making an angle with the bedding plane. Yes, it is inclined, it is making an angle with the bedding plane. The axial plane of drag folds is making an angle with the bedding plane. Now understand one thing. See, I'll just use other color now for you guys to understand this more better. Yeah. Blue, orange I use. Yes. Now see this carefully. Okay, in this case what has happened, see the axial plane, we have two angles. You guys know what is acute angle and what is the obtuse angle. Acute is less than 90, obtuse is greater than 90. Yes, to 180, right? So here what do we have? Here we have acute angle, where, see in this case, in all the cases of axial plane here with respect to the drag folds, we have what? We have two angles. What are they? We have one small, we have obtuse angle on this side, we have acute angle on this side. Obtuse angle here, acute angle here. Here also obtuse and acute. In this case what is happening? Obtuse is here and this side it is acute. I hope you guys can see this is orange in color. I have marked the acute angles in orange color. Okay. So this is obtuse this side, this is acute this side. Obtuse this side, acute this side. Now what is happening is, the reason why we are discussing this is because we understand in which directions the bed has shifted if we know this acute angle. Okay, the acute angle marks helps us in knowing in which direction the bed is shifted. In this case the bed is shifted this way, this case the bed is shifted this way. The direction of acute angle is pointing, okay, or leads us to the upward movement of the bed. See here, the acute angle here marks or shows that the bed has shifted towards the axial plane, of the entire fold. Here also, the acute angle here marks or helps us in knowing that the bed has shifted towards the main axial plane of the main entire fold. Okay, so axial planes of the drag folds help us in knowing. They also help us in knowing top bedding plane and bottom bedding plane. Okay, that is altogether a different thing. But for now, just understand. They help us in knowing the direction of, in which directions the bed has moved. All right. What is it that we are talking? We are saying that the acute angle of the axial plane of what? Axial plane of drag folds help us in knowing in which direction the bed has moved. Which bed? The bed upwards, or the beds above and below. Which bed has moved up or down with respect to what? This is what we understand. Okay, with the help of axial plane. All right. So I'll just recall anything else that should be mentioned with respect to drag fold so far. With respect to top and bottom bedding plane, we'll discuss this sometime later. But now for now, this is done here. Yeah, for drag folds, we'll stop here. We'll be discussing further. Yeah, thank you. Have a wonderful evening.